Judge Elena Martinez sat alone in her chambers, the glow of her desk lamp casting a gentle light across the room. Stacks of case files waited for her review, each one carrying its own tale of heartbreak, resilience, or redemption. 20 years on the family court bench had shown her just how fragile and precious the bonds between people could be. Yet, despite all she had seen, nothing prepared her for the file she was about to open. The case seemed routine on the surface. A 3-year-old girl named Sarah, abandoned shortly after birth at St. Mary's Hospital, was up for adoption. The prospective parents, Mark and Jennifer Stevens, were a stable, loving couple with impeccable references. The documents detailed their story. They had been foster parents to Sarah for 6 months, showering her with love and giving her a sense of belonging she had never known before. The hearing was supposed to be straightforward, a rare happy ending for the judge to preside over. But as Elena flipped through the file, her eyes froze on a detail that made her breath catch. Sarah's birth date was March 15, 2020, and the place was St. Mary's Hospital. Elena's mind spun as she stared at the words on the page, her hands beginning to tremble. It couldn't be a coincidence. That date, that hospital, they aligned too perfectly with the disappearance of her estranged daughter, Isabella. She hadn't seen or heard from Isabella in over 3 years, not since the day her daughter had walked out of her life after a bitter argument. Elena felt her throat tighten as she recalled that final conversation with Isabella. Her daughter, barely 19, had told her she was pregnant, and the news had shaken Elena to her core. She tried to reason with Isabella, urging her to make sensible choices, to be careful about the future. "You're always judging everyone, Mom. That's all you know how to do," Isabella had shouted, her voice raw with pain. Those were the last words Elena had heard from her daughter before she stormed out. Now, sitting alone in her chambers, Elena realized she had let pride and control drive away the most precious person in her life. And if this file in front of her was correct, the child in question, the orphan Sarah, could very well be her granddaughter. The thought felt surreal, but as Elena went back through the pages, she couldn't deny the truth. The birth mother's description matched Isabella perfectly, right down to the small heart-shaped birthmark on her left shoulder. She tried to steady her breathing, but the surge of emotions overwhelmed her. For the first time in her career, she questioned whether she could truly remain impartial in a case. At that moment, her professional life collided with her personal past, forcing her to confront feelings she had buried. She leaned back in her chair, closing her eyes as memories flooded her mind. Isabella as a little girl, laughing as Elena chased her around the park. Isabella crying on her first day of school. Isabella hugging her tight after winning her first science fair. Those memories now felt bittersweet, tainted by the regret of everything unsaid, every hug that had been withheld. The Gavels' call later that afternoon felt heavier than ever. As she took her seat at the bench, Elena's eyes flicked to the left, where Mark and Jennifer Stevens sat, holding hands, anticipation and hope clear in their expressions. Their attorney detailed the family's background, highlighting their years of stability, their warmth, and their dedication to creating a home for Sarah. They had already built a life around this little girl, and it showed in the way they spoke of her, as if she were already their own. Meanwhile, Sarah sat at a small table, a stuffed giraffe tucked under her arm, her tiny fingers tracing the fabric of its fur. Every now and then, she would glance up at Elena with large, curious eyes, her gaze piercing and familiar. That look, those eyes, belonged to Isabella. And now, sitting on this bench, Elena's heart ached with a mixture of love, guilt, and the impossible weight of her decision. In a recess between testimonies, Elena returned to her chambers. She knew what she had to do. Taking out her phone, she typed a message to the one contact she had never deleted. "Isabella, I know about Sarah. Please call me. Some things are more important than our past." She waited, watching the clock, feeling every second tick by with agonizing slowness. But the silence dragged on, and eventually, she steeled herself to return to court. Her duty as a judge required her to act in the best interests of the child, regardless of her personal connection. Sarah's future had to come first, even if it meant Elena might lose her only link to Isabella. Just as she prepared to take her seat, her phone buzzed. The message was brief, but it made her heart race. "Mom." Elena swallowed hard, her fingers trembling as she typed back. "Yes, it's me. I'm here. Can we talk?" A minute later, the phone rang, and Elena picked up, her voice barely a whisper. "Isabella." "Mom," her daughter replied, her tone wavering. "I saw your message. I've been following the case. I knew it would eventually reach your court. Why didn't you tell me?" Elena's voice cracked, the composed judge disappearing, replaced by a grieving mother. "Why didn't you let me help?" "Because you were right about everything," Isabella whispered, her voice laced with pain. "I wasn't ready. Didn't want to face you, or your judgment. I couldn't give Sarah what she needed. But I knew you'd make sure she ended up in the right home." Elena's heart clenched. "Isabella, you're her mother. If you wanted to, you could still." "No." Isabella's voice was firm, though laced with sorrow. "She deserves a chance at a life I couldn't give her. Mark and Jennifer, they can be the parents she deserves." Elena's eyes filled with tears. "Then why reach out now? Why let me know?" There was a pause, and then Isabella's voice softened. "Because I needed you to know I'm okay. And to ask you for one thing." "Anything," Elena replied. "When you grant the adoption, could you make sure they keep her middle name?" It's Elena. Wanted her to carry a part of you with her, even if it had to be from afar. Elena could barely speak as she choked out, "I'll make sure of it." Back in the courtroom, Judge Martinez delivered her ruling with a steady voice, but her heart felt raw and exposed. She granted the adoption to Mark and Jennifer Stevens, but added one small condition: that Sarah Elena Stevens would retain her middle name, to honor her heritage. As the happy couple embraced Sarah, Elena watched from the bench, fighting back tears. She realized that sometimes, the hardest judgments were the ones where doing the right thing felt wrong in your heart. Yet in this quiet act, she hoped she was offering a bridge. A path that might someday lead Sarah back to the family she didn't yet know she had. In the years that followed, Elena watched Sarah grow from a distance, catching glimpses of her in the park or the grocery store, her laughter carrying on the wind like a haunting melody. She remained a silent observer, silently cherishing the knowledge that Sarah was safe and loved. Eventually, Isabella did come home. It was 5 years later, on a rainy autumn afternoon, when Elena opened her door to find her daughter standing there, soaked and trembling. Without a word, Elena embraced her, the years of separation and regret melting away as mother and daughter clung to each other. They began a slow, fragile journey of reconciliation, each moment a step toward healing. And while Sarah remained with the only family she had ever known, Elena found comfort in knowing that love could transcend any distance, any time apart. The case of Sarah Elena Stevens never appeared in law books or precedent-setting decisions, but it stayed with Judge Martinez as the most significant ruling of her career. For in that case, she learned that justice sometimes wears a different face, and that love sometimes means letting go, even when every fiber of your being wants to hold on. Thanks for watching, and God bless you. Get ready for our next heart-wrenching story. A doctor's dilemma. When a brilliant surgeon discovers her patient is the drunk driver who killed her son, will she honor her Hippocratic oath, or will vengeance cloud her judgment? Subscribe to find out. Share your thoughts. What would you have done in Judge Martinez's position? Let us know in the comments below. Should she have revealed the truth about Sarah? If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more tales of love, loss, and the moral struggles that define us. Missed our previous story, Love's Final Gift? Watch a father's ultimate sacrifice challenge our understanding of love and ethics.